and then a long gap before the trailing athlete.
Well, he's out there on his own. Bakusha's dropped. I think Bakusha will be in the steeplechase. So Aouita will not have in Rome in the next race. He's got to do it now if he's going to do it. He won't have the pacemakers, but this is the man that Jack Butler and Tim Hutchins have got to face. And of course, there's one more still to be chosen for the British team. But even so, on his own, a lonely figure now, it will be a very, very worthy record if he can run 4 laps on his own at the sort of pace he's been led to.
He is the Olympic 5,000-meter champion, the world record holder at 1,500 meters. Recently, in Paris last week, took the world 2,000-meter record off Steve Cram. Well, he took the world 5,000-meter record off David Moorcroft. David's figures were set in 1982. Aouita set the new world record at 13:00.4 in 1985. But my own feeling looking at him is that he is in a little bit of trouble. And the watch confirms that because he's just slowed slightly, 64 seconds. Just checking on the time schedule, he's still on average pace inside a 13-minute 5,000 meters, which is inside the world record. But remember, he's got to be inside 13 to realistically break it. And really, I think on a night like this, he's too much to do in many ways. The weather, 28 degrees, the humidity, very, very, very high. And even though he comes from a warm country and does most of his training here in Italy, he's still bound to feel it.
No question about that. But it does put a perspective on those other world record holders with great distinction, just how tough a job it is. And those who said it as front runners, well, they've got the respect of everybody in this fraternity. There's no doubt about that. Because if this is the greatest runner in the world at the moment, the man that Ron Clark thinks can break 27 minutes for 10,000 meters and hold the string of world records, if he can't do it on his own in conditions which are near to perfect, except for the humidity, of course, then it means that those that preceded him were quite magnificent.
Just doing some mental arithmetic, and Dave Moorcroft and distance runners at home will be interested in this. He went through with 2 laps to go in 10 minutes 58. He's got to run the last 800 meters in 2 minutes 2 seconds. David Moorcroft, you've been there. You're the second fastest man in history. I wouldn't say it's on, would you?
I don't know. I think he could do it. If he's got to do a sub 60-second last lap, I think he'll make it. A lot depends on this next 200. But if he's only got to run sub 60s that last lap, he could well do it. And this is an exceptional athlete, one of the greatest ever, under a lot of pressure. But when he hears that bell, that will relieve a lot of that pressure. And I'm convinced that he can make it.
I wonder if you'd be so convinced, actually, who's sitting in this stadium, because we're pouring sweat in the commentary box. And he's coaching the bell now, and this is now the test. See what the bell time is, and we'll know exactly what he's got to do on the last lap. 12:1 at the bell, so he's got to run the last lap in about 59 seconds, a sub 59-second last lap, which David Moorcroft said was possible, and who's to say it isn't now? The crowd, there must be about 30,000 in the stadium, in this vast Olympic stadium, trying all they can to help. Aouita once more against the clock. 250 meters left, and he's getting faster. He's staged the most remarkable revival. 4 laps to go and 3 laps to go. He looks very, very tired, but he's been winding up the pace and gradually getting back in touch with a world record schedule. His world record, 13 minutes 00.4 seconds. That's what he's got to beat, and the clock seems to be flying. Aouita's got tired athletes to come on in front of him to race against. Is there a way through for him? Yes, there is. Has he done it? Yes, he has. He's broken the world record, an astounding 12 minutes 58.36. Well, the last lap he's run in about 1:57, 1:58.
È il più grande atleta di tutti i tempi. Riceve l'abbraccio del giovanissimo Tubeito e del Silvino Bakusha. Ancora a rallenti le immagini dell'ultimo metri di questa memorabile impresa ottenuta dal marocchino Sa&iuml.
Now with a couple of seconds to go, we're seeing a little bit of history. Nobody has ever run under 13 minutes of 5,000 metres. One of the last barriers, and he's done it.
Right, well, David Moorcroft, let's come back to London here and just talk about this quite astonishing run. It really was absolutely astonishing. I mean, we're talking about would he get just inside 13 minutes, and he was well inside it. It's marvellous last
Well,
one.
he's written his own piece of history there, because there are many of us who quite fancied the opportunity of getting under 13 minutes. And as he sort of winds his way between those athletes there, he's made it. One of the great barriers in the sport. An absolutely fantastic race. The circumstances, as the commentator said, weren't ideal, and had good pacemaking, but that last 5 laps must have hurt a lot. And it's a great barrier and broken by a great athlete.
Do you think he set out to do that tonight? He's been trying to break world records all through the summer. Do you think he set out to do that, or did it happen by accident when the pace was really hot?
I'm sure he set out to do it. We probably should have realised that because he said beforehand he wasn't going for a world record, that it was likely to be on. Every time he races, he's almost going for a world record. But he did that tonight, and it was fantastic. Again, on this last lap, he had to break 1 minute 60 seconds, which was really hard running because he was very, very tired. But it's a test of the character of the bloke and the ability that he can do that. And he really is flying down the back straight here. I mean, at this point, when you're absolutely shattered, when the last thing you want to do is raise your pace again, he can find another gear. And as I said, that's the test of the great athlete.
It was that spell in the middle of the race, with 3 very, very quick laps, that really changed the course of the race, wasn't it?
Well, at that time, I thought Bakush was running it to win, that he was in there, that he was pushing it along and thought that he could win. But obviously, unknown to us, he was a pacemaker. But then Aouita had to take it on 5 laps from home, which is a long way, and in that heat and humidity, keep digging in. And he did slow down a little bit, but he still managed to make it with a lap to go within sight of the record, and I think he's quite a pleased person.
Just a little bit. But let's go back now to our commentators over there in Rome.
Well, the scenes here, memorable. And this has been an outstanding night for track and field and for Aouita himself. To break 13 minutes like that, to break it on a night like this, and to run the last 800 metres, we have now checked it through. 1 minute 57.7. And don't forget, Bakush in the middle of that race threw in 3 61-second laps. That's almost 4-minute miling pace in the middle of a race beyond 3 miles, and he's still able to come back after all that and run 1 minute 57.7 for the last 2 laps.
I think these pictures show too that the Italians have very much taken this man to heart, because he lives in Italy, got an Italian coach, and despite what he says, they've really made him a homeboy hero. And I think that David Moorcroft especially will now think that his record is into worthy hands. Before he shaved it by a few hundredths of a second, now he's really taken it and done so much of the work on his own that he's absolutely a superb world record holder at 5,000 metres.